Good and evil is the basic category in which we human beings try to operate and live. Even when it looks very neutral, it still is a category of good and evil. And even economics, we think it's a value-free science, but in fact it's full of values. So even if an analyst talks about something as boring as inflation, 3.4% in the month of May, the immediate question is it good or is it bad? Should it be higher? Should it be lower? Economists are always wrong because they think they understand the future. They think they understand the system. In this, we're a little bit like Pharisees. We believe that life behaves according to rules. This is the thing that Jesus had with the Pharisees. He was saying, life doesn't really, as much as you pretend, behave according to these rules, especially not rules of mathematics. So, from the outside, it looks like a white, beautiful grave, but inside it's full of filth. So that's why I think if economists would be a little bit more philosophers and understand that there are certain things that we will never know, I think, the most dangerous situation when you think that you don't, when you think that you know, but in fact you don't know. Greed is the, let's say, oldest demon, if you will, or the archetype that we human beings have been fighting with. You can see this from the Garden of Eden. You can see this in all, not just Christianity, but in Aristotle, in the Greeks and Sumerians, in other, let's say, beliefs or stories like that we have and still believe. Ironically, of course, today we live under the question, the very famous line, greed is good. In other words, something that is always considered evil is now good. And even the whole sentence sounds a little bit, of course, you want to be careful because it must be in some way an irony. Greed is good. But would you really rather live, would you like your friends to be greedy? I mean, there are, of course, relationships in which greed is absolutely unwanted, and I even think that society, that it is a little bit of a mistake to think that society holds together because of greed. No, society holds together because of common sympathy. This is not me saying this, this is Adam Smith. Growth, again, is something that we human beings like, and it was even the task, grow and multiply and fill the earth. But the question is, in what dimensions do we want to grow? Today, when you say the word growth, we don't talk of any other growth except for growth of GDP. Now, the imperative is we must grow, otherwise the whole society collapses. And I think it's fine. I'm not against growth when it's natural and when we take it with gratefulness. We don't take growth like that anymore. We take it as our human divine right. In this, you can see a philosophical subject-object reversal. I believe that democracy and capitalism, or whatever you can call the system that we have, which needs to go and change, but it still is a fertile ground for growth. What has happened in the past, let's say half a generation, we made a subject-object reversal. We today think that growth is a conditio sine qua non of market capitalism. In other words, if it doesn't grow, it collapses. I am a much more of a believer in freedom of markets and democracy, because I believe we can be democratic and we can be free trading even if we don't grow. Whereas my friends or my opponents believe that the system under which we live is weak in a way. It needs to be bribed by 3, 4, 5% of GDP growth every year. So it's not a very strong system. If communism would be every year give everybody, let's say, 5% increase in wealth, would it ever collapse? But that's not how we should look at a system, how it makes us rich. The first and most important question is, are we free? And if we are richer or not should be a secondary, tertiary, or even a question of lesser importance. Let me focus on matrix. This is when you try to make something perfect, it overpowers you. A stupid little example, I don't know if you've noticed, when you want your toilet detergent to smell like freshly squeezed lime, you mustn't be surprised when your freshly squeezed lime smells like a toilet detergent, and then you can't really escape it. You've made something so perfect, the real thing reminds you of the artificial. So today when you go into the forest, A lot of people, you know, may actually have the idea, oh, it smells here like in the car when we buy these new scents. This is what happens with us human beings, and you can see this perfectly in Matrix, also a little bit in Blade Runner. You create something to serve you, then something goes wrong, like with the economy. We've created to serve us. Now we feel we must serve to the economy. We must do everything we can to pay back our debts. We have become debt slaves. We, even in English, we call it debt service. We know the amount of money that so we servicing the debt. In Matrix, you can see this most brilliantly. We've created machines to slave and work for us. Then subject-object reversal happens. We have become completely passive slaves of these machines, soaking some sort of energy from us. You can see this many times in culture. You can see this in the Golem of Prague, Aladdin's lamp. You can even see this in the Lord of the Rings. The ring seems to be serving Mordor, but if you destroy the ring, you destroy this small little thing. If you destroy the whole Mordor in second, disassembles. This is in a way what I think is happening or could happen with this fetishization of the economic. Europe is the best revolution we have ever had in the history of Europe. Just imagine what would happen if Greece would go bankrupt 70 years ago. The only thing we two would be talking here about is how to attack Greece in the most elegant way. You know, Brits might be thinking how to attack Ireland now that Ireland is bankrupt. How to attack Hungary now that Hungary is bankrupt. The Danes maybe, well, how to deal with Iceland now that Iceland is... You know, this never enters even the way of our thinking. We are trying to help the Greeks. We sincerely wish that they would do better. You know, if suddenly Greece would start growing or they've discovered some new, I don't know, gas reserves or create new technology, we would be very happy. So this is a novelty in the history of Europe. We've always, you know, the first instinctive reaction to a strange nation was, may they do badly so that we may prosper. Today, we wish them that they prosper so that we may prosper with them. This is a novelty that we're really trying to help each other instead of attacking each other. So I know that I'm not a non-economist, I'm not a non-philosopher, I know that I'm not a non-European. I basically, like everybody else, want to live in a society that in at least some way fits the fancy of imagining. You know, in one way, this is a society that really allows you to be whoever you want to be, which makes it exactly difficult, because when everything is allowed, what then? There is a beautiful poem by Michael March who says, "Life is where it is forbidden to live." I think that you can only be a good economist if you're not only an economist. I don't know who said this, you know, somebody, I can't remember the origin of the quote, but it is not mine, unfortunately. The man or the woman or the person who is just a musician is not a musician, he's an idiot. You know, if you're only doing one thing, it loses sense. If you only focus on technical, you're missing the mark. If you only focus on the spiritual, you're also missing the mark. We human beings are completed a legion. We are multiplicities. We are contradictions running in our brains all the time. And you must admit this. I mean, even if you quarrel with your worst enemy, you must really absolutely and immediately see that you're really quarreling here with yourself. That you do have a little bit of that. And that's why I believe that in every desire there is fear. And in every fear there is also desire. Nothing comes pure. Everything is mixed. And if an economist does not understand that economy really is a subset of philosophy at large, then you will come up with conclusions that are completely crazy. You know, we have in our lives, we have many values. Some values have a number, some values do not have a number. And there's nothing wrong with a value having a number. I mean, this shirt is a value for me, and I bought it at a price. I bought this shirt, I didn't make it myself, this coat, I bought it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then there are values in life that do not have a number. And if you put a number on them, it makes them ridiculous. Now, no matter how good your economics is, if you're doing equations only on a part of your life, you will always, always, always arrive at answers that will always be leaping on one leg. There will never be complete answers. Little bit like in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when they asked the computer what is the meaning of life, universe and everything, and the computer, after 2 million years of computing, says it is absolutely clear, the answer to the meaning of life, universe and everything is 42.